Hello, this is Unit 6 Factoring, Part 2. Now, in grade 11, you will also learn about factoring, and then you will be presented question with more variety. The basic principles are the same, but it will be just more varieties, just more challenging. Okay, now let's look at the another types of trinomial, which is of this form, ax squared plus bx plus c, just with the leading coefficient is not 1. Okay, that's make it hard. Okay, there is a formal way to do it, but there's also another way. It's called intuitive way. So let me just show you the intuitive way. Okay, let's see. Now you have a trinomial, three terms, and you know a trinomial in this pattern, x squared x and then no x, x0, is a result of multiplying two binomial together. All right. So the question is, which two binomial? Okay. So I know it will be something x and then something x. That's give me the x squared. And then they will give me a 6. So, well, what will give me a 6? Well, it's either 1, 6 or 2, 3. So it's not too hard. In here, I will look at the last number. Oh, it's a prime number. Perfect. Prime number is good because there's only one way to get a 5, which is 1 and 5. So, before I do it, I know for sure it will be a 1 and 5 for my numbers here. 1 and 5 give me 5. Now, don't put in the sign yet. Okay, you determine positive and negative. In this case, since this is all positive, then they must be all positive. Like otherwise, don't put the sign in yet. But for this example, let's just show this for now. Okay, so therefore, I have 1 and 5. Now, the question is, what number in the front, which will give me 6 in the front, and also when I do the outer and inner, will give me 11. Okay, so let's go through all the possibility. So I call this an intuitive way because in your head you just go through all the number just to see if it works. Now let's try 1 and 6. Okay, if this number here is 1 and 6, oh 1 and 6, if I have a 1 here and then a 6, or I can have 6 and a 1. Okay, so 1 and 6, 6 or 1. The order of 1, 5 doesn't matter because I'm swapping the other two, then it's already give you the two different combination. It's either 1, 6 or 6, 1. Well, which pair will give you 11 in the middle? Well, you check it. Now, this will give me 30x plus 1x. This will give me 31x. So that's not the answer. This is plus 5x plus 6x. Hey, that's 11x. So therefore, this is the answer. All right. So just by trial and error, I call this intuitive, try a different number, you'll get the answer. Okay, let's try another example. This is a hard trinomial, but I like it because this is a prime number. So before I start, I'm sure it's 5x and 1x. Okay, it has to be 5x and 1x. Well, with a negative 4 there, it's either 1, 4 or 2, 2. Okay, it's either 1, 4, all right, 4, 1, or 2, 2. Well, 2, 2, you swap it, it's still 2, 2. So just look what am I, the setup here. 5, 1 give me a 5x squared for sure. 1, 4, 4, 1, 2, 2 will give me a 4 for sure. Now I need to put a negative sign somewhere. Okay, one positive, one negative in order to get a negative 4. Finally, out of these three combination, which one will give me negative 8? So you just examine them. The first one, 20x, 1x, it won't be 8. 5 and 5x and 4x, that's not 8x. 10x, 2x. 10x, 2x. Yes, that is. 10x, 2x will give me negative 8x if I have negative 10x and plus 2x. So therefore, I put a negative here. This will give me negative 10x plus 2x. So here we go. That's the answer. Okay. So this method is, I like this method. Once again, just try different number. And there's only one factoring pair will work. Okay, you will never get two different answers. There's always one unique answer. All right, finally, here, well, 6 and negative 15, and then I have a positive 1 in the middle. Well, this one is harder because they are not prime numbers, so I can't say for sure what number it is. Okay, let's work with 15. 15 is either 1, 15, or 3, 5. Okay, now if I have 115, So let's try different combination. 6, right? If I have 6, 1, right? It won't give me a positive 1 in the middle. 1, 6, it won't work. 6 and 15 won't give me positive 1. How about 2, 5? Like 2, 3, give me a 6. 2 and 15, 30. That won't work. 3 and 2. Hey, that's also won't work. Because this number is so big, whatever combination you put it in, it will be too big. So this combination doesn't work. So I know for sure it's 3, 5. All right. But is it 1, 6 or 2, 3? All right. So there will be 4 combination. 1, 6, 6, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2. So you just need to go through each pair in your head. All right. So let's try 1, 6. If it's 1, 6 or 6, 1, right? 1, 6 or 6, 1. 6, 5 give me 30. It won't work. 1, 5, 3, 6, 18. So this one also won't work. So it have to be 2, 3. Have to be 2x, 3x, or 3x, 2x. Have to be one of this pair. Okay, the more you practice, the faster you get the answer. So here is 10, this is 9, so here's the answer. I want positive, so positive 10x minus 9x. So that's my answer. The last pair won't work. Okay, so I call this a hard trinomial. All right, D, the third type, difference of square. Difference of square is actually the easiest. Okay, difference of square is when you only have two terms, and it has to be a difference, so the sign have to be a difference here, and then they have to be square. Then the answer is conjugate. Do you remember last example, like last unit? We learned that when we multiply two conjugates together, you will get difference of square. You say what's conjugate? Okay, here we go. What will give me two terms? When you multiply x plus 10, x minus 10, it will give me a difference of square. Why? Because the middle term cancel out. One is positive 10x, one is negative 10x. They cancel out, leaving just the first term, which is x squared, and then the last term, negative 100. Okay? Whenever you see a difference of square, you say, yes, I know the answer. Very quickly. Here, a squared 64. A squared is a. 1 plus, 1 minus. 64 is the square of 8. That's the answer. Difference of square is very easy. Here, wow, what is this? Wow, as long as they are different of square, it will work. 9a squared b squared is the square of what? It's the square of 3ab. Okay, so therefore, 1 plus 1 minus. What is 1 square of? 1 is square of 1. Here we go, that's the answer. Okay, you can check the answer by FOIL. You see that's the answer. The middle term cancel out. Okay, all right. So let's move on to the next page. We have difference of square. Okay, once again, is it a difference? Yes, it's a minus sign. Is this a square? They are. 81x squared is square of 9x. And then this is the square of yz. 1 plus 1 minus. That's the answer. Difference of square is the easiest. You look at this. Hey, we have the difference. Hey, this is not a square. This is not a square. We are stuck. Well, but remember, whenever you're factoring question, the first thing you do is take out common factor. Look at these two terms. What's common? Well, 2 is common. Let's take 2 out. Once you take the 2 out, you now say, wow, this is a square, this is a square, this is a difference, this is a difference of square. The answer will be a conjugate. So you just put it like this. All right. The last example, I have a square here. This is a square of 5a. This is a square of 2. However, I don't have a difference of square. I have a sum of square. Well, the question is called difference of square. It has a name. So difference of square can put into conjugate. How about sum of square? Sum of square cannot be factor. There's nothing in this world when you multiply them give you sum of square. So whenever you have sum of square, cannot be factors. All right, last example. When you have 4 terms, what do you do? Factoring by grouping. Okay, now I'll jump to the end for now. So whenever you have a factoring question, first you look for common factor, take out common factor first. Okay, and then determine how many terms do you have. If you have 2 terms, check to see if it's a difference of square, then you know what to do, become a conjugate. If it's 3 terms, then it's either an easy one or a hard one. Okay, as easy or a hard one. If you have 4 terms, then we'll do what we're going to do now. The last skill we're going to learn is called factoring by grouping. All right. Whenever you have four terms, this is what you're going to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. You group the first two together. You leave the sign in the middle. You group the last two together. Now, notice, before you group them, the terms are separate. One is negative 3a. The fourth term is plus 9. Now, when you group the third and fourth term together, if this sign is a negative sign, you need to put a bracket. You need to put in bracket. You need to change the sign here. All right. Why? Because when you revert it back, when you expand it, when you remove the bracket, they will turn it back to negative 3a, negative 9, which is plus 9. Okay. Whenever you have a negative sign here, make sure you do that. Okay. Let me change the next question here. Let's change it to a plus. So when you have a plus, you don't need to do that. Okay, so when you have negative sign, make sure you change the sign there. Now, what do you do next? Okay, when you have four terms, you group the first two, leave the sign in the middle, you group the last two. Now, you look at the first two, take out common factor. Okay, you can take out 2a. Okay, then you have a minus 3. You copy the sign there. For the last two terms, you look for common factor. Well, common factor is 3, so you take out a 3. And do you see what's special here? You end up with two big terms with some common parts there. Okay, the question they give you have to work. Otherwise, they won't give you that question. Okay, whenever they give you a four terms problem to factor by grouping, you always get this. After you've factored the first two and then factored the last two, you always have a part that's common. Okay, this part is common. So finally, you can take that out and then just look at what's remaining. Okay, so that's your final answer. Okay, let's try one more time and then you can practice. Okay, let's try one more time. I change it all to a plus so that when I put a brackets there, okay, for this one, sorry, let's just keep it this way. Let's keep it this way. What happened is you look at the first two, look at the last two. There's nothing, well, the first two, nothing in common. The last two, you can take out x. But then after that, what you get there is not the same. All right. So like this one can't be factor, so they stay the same. This one, if you like take out negative x, for example, well, there's nothing in common. You can't proceed. You're stuck. So what you're going to do is you're going to rearrange these four terms. Okay, let's rearrange it. I put the x term together, these two, and then put the remaining term that has a y there. Okay, so I realize this question has a plus there. Okay, you rearrange the term. Okay, so I'm not changing the question, I'm just rearranging the terms. Now, grouping, what do? You group the first two, and then you group the last two by leaving a sign in between. You still have four terms here. They are not factoring yet. Okay, you're still adding. When you're adding, you don't need to change anything here. Don't worry, just keep this negative sign there. Whereas in the first question, if this is a negative, you need to switch the sign in the bracket because you're adding a bracket. When this is a plus, you don't. Now, let's factor. Here, you can factor out 4x, so you end up with x minus 3. You copy the plus sign. Here, what can you take out? You can take out y. All right, here we go. Okay, you say x minus 3 and 3 minus x are not the same. Remember the math trick? 3 minus x and x minus 3 are negative of each other. So, what you can do is, you can swap this into x minus 3 by introducing a negative in the front, and then it will be like this, okay? So you just make this term negative. Now you can see, between these two big terms, x minus 3 is common, so let's take out x minus 3. Let's take out x minus 3 there, and then what's remaining is 4x minus y. So after you take out x minus 3, what's remaining is 4x minus y. So what you are doing in this step is, between these two big terms, you are factoring out x minus 3, leaving 4x minus y. Okay, so here we go. That's the answer. Okay, and once again, this is how you do any factoring problem. Take out common factor, determine is 2, 3, 4 terms, and you do things differently. And these are some practices. And good luck and enjoy and have a good practice. See you.